Hello and welcome, dear electronic music addicts, to another episode of the Electronic Music Addicts podcast. Wow, okay, so much going on lately. We've just been flooded with announcements. Today, though, we're going to cut through that noise. We need to analyze two really big, high-stakes moves happening right now in the Mexican electronic music scene. Our mission today, a deep dive. We're looking at the huge format shift for Zamna Festival and also that surprisingly controversial lineup reveal for State of Trance, ASOT Mexico 2025.
That's absolutely right. And you know, the fan debate online, it's already at a fever pitch for both of these. It's fascinating. What really connects them, I think, is this theme. You've got these iconic global brands, Zamna and ASOT, and both are really challenging what fans expect. They're pushing boundaries on scale, on geography, even like genre purity. This whole situation, it kind of shows how the Mexican market is becoming this ultimate stress test for how these massive electronic events adapt, or if they can survive, really.
Okay, let's unpack that. Starting with Zamna. I mean, their whole identity was built around those huge, mystical jungle parties in Tulum, right? That aesthetic. But this new move, it's a total pivot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Zamna in the club.
Exactly. It's a formal shift in format. They're trading that, vast open-air vibe for something much more intimate, an indoor club experience.
In Naucalpan, Estado de Mexico.
Yep, at the Sala Urbana venue.
Okay, but hold on. Moving a brand that's all about the jungle, the beach, that Tulum mystique, putting it indoors, Naucalpan, doesn't that risk diluting the whole brand? Like, are people buying the music or are they buying that specific Tulum experience?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's the core risk. But it also explains the strategy behind it, I think. Moving to a club, it drastically cuts down the production complexity and the cost. I mean, compared to building out a whole jungle venue.
Way less overhead.
Exactly. And it lets them tap into that huge and honestly underserved market in the Estado de Mexico. They can do it without the massive logistical nightmare of a destination festival. So, it could be a smart way to boost profitability, test the local waters with less financial exposure.
And the timing. They're nailing the timing. 2 nights, October 31st and November 1st.
Which puts it right on Halloween and, crucially in Mexico, Dia de Muertos.
Yeah, you absolutely cannot overstate how significant that date is. It's a massive traditional holiday. And looking at the promo stuff, they're clearly trying to integrate the culture, not just, drop a party onto the calendar.
Yeah, I saw the flyer.
Right. Intense orange and black tones, the candles, those floral bits that look like the cempasúchil, the marigold flower. It's actually a really nice visual fusion. It feels respectful of the Mexican tradition, but still has that typical Zamna musical vibe mixed in. Okay, the visuals are stunning, I agree. But is there a potential downside here? Especially thinking about the overcrowding stuff we need to talk about. Leveraging a really sacred traditional holiday like Dia de Muertos for a commercial party. If the execution isn't perfect, could they face backlash? Accusations of being opportunistic? That feels like a tightrope walk.
It absolutely is. Right now, the fan consensus seems positive. People see it as a respectful integration. But you're spot on. The margin for error, it's razor thin, especially with all the logistical worries already floating around.
Okay, so for anyone listening who's thinking about going, tickets, these are going to go fast, right? Expected to fly off the shelf.
Oh, definitely. If you haven't already, you need to pre-register. That's at zamnafestival.com. The pre-sale is only for people who registered. That starts Monday, September 22nd, 10 a.m. sharp.
And general sale.
Same day, but 3 hours later at 1 p.m. You really have to be ready. The demand for this brand moving into a club format in Estado de Mexico, it's going to be intense.
You can feel the excitement. We saw comments online like, por fin algo de este nivel cerca de casa. People are genuinely thrilled that these big productions are finally moving beyond just Tulum or Mexico City. Yeah. But okay, this is where we need to pivot. Talk about the risks.
And this is where the pressure really mounts. The main concern, it's the venue itself. Sala Urbana. People see it as, pretty small for a massive brand like Zamna. That immediately raises red flags about capacity, crowd control.
And wasn't that venue shut down recently? Clausurado?
It was, about a month and a half ago, due to overcrowding issues at a different event.
Okay, so it's operating again now, but still.
Yeah, that's the real tension point. Can Zamna, a brand known for selling huge numbers of tickets, actually manage the crowd safely in a smaller club? Especially one with a recent history like that. The pressure on their operations team, it's gotta be enormous. Especially over a major holiday weekend. They need to get safety absolutely right.
And this taps into a wider anxiety, doesn't it? About logistics for big events in Mexico right now. We saw those separate comments about the afterlife refund issues.
Exactly, from that canceled event at Hipódromo de las Americas back in May. Now, the source we saw clarifies that refund mess is mostly tied to the ticketing company, Full Pass, not really Zamna's current organizers.
But it feeds the skepticism.
It totally feeds into this broader audience skepticism, yeah. Any big event relying on that whole ecosystem, it faces this built-in audience anxiety now. Zamna basically has to work twice as hard to prove their operations are solid, that they're reliable, given the venue's history and the general market mood.
Right. So, wrapping up Zamna, it's a bold move, culturally smart, maybe financially pragmatic too, shifting to this intimate club format using Dia de Muertos. But it's definitely high risk, high reward. Puts the brand under immediate, intense logistical scrutiny. Okay, so Zamna's gamble is scaling down while leaning on culture. A State of Trance seems to be making maybe an even riskier bet, scaling down the offering itself and betting everything on the headliner's star power. Let's shift to that lineup reveal, the one that really shook up the trance community, ASOT Mexico 2025.
Oh, this was the big one trance fans were waiting for. Armin van Buuren himself announced it during ASOT episode 1243. The event's set for November 8th, Velodromo Olímpico in Mexico City.
And the lineup, okay, let's listen. Armin van Buuren, obviously. Then Armin van Buuren, face Lily Palmer, that's the big B2B everyone's talking about. Also Enya, Giuseppe Ottaviani, Morton, Ruben Durande, and TDJ.
That's it.
7 artists total.
7 artists. And the key thing to notice here strategically is the genre blending. You've got Ruben Durande and Giuseppe Ottaviani holding down the classic progressive trance side, though, Giuseppe has been bringing in some techno elements lately.
Right.
But the real curveball, the thing causing debate, is Lily Palmer. She brings a heavy techno influence into that beat with Armin. And then there's Morton, who's famous for future rave, especially his stuff with David Guetta.
Okay, people know techno, they know future rave, but putting them so prominently on an ASOT lineup, what's the strategy there for a brand historically known for, like, pure trance?
Well, it signals that ASOT might be hedging its bets,
Okay.
Against genre stagnation, and maybe actively trying to reach a younger, more genre-fluid audience in Mexico, even if it risks alienating some of the traditionalists.
Interesting.
They're basically acknowledging that the market right now, it demands fusion. And if your goal is to sell out a single-stage venue, maybe diversifying the sound is just a pragmatic business choice.
But the core controversy, the thing really getting people talking, is just the size. 7 artists. It feels, well, shockingly small for something billed as ASOT.
Right.
For the audience paying, presumably, a premium price for a festival experience. Are we just accepting a trade-off? Quantity for perceived quality? Or is it just less bang for your buck?
That is precisely the debate raging online. And if you look back at ASOT's history in Mexico, think ASOT 700 at Palacio de los Deportes back in 2015.
They're bigger.
Much bigger. Way more artists, more variety, usually multiple stages.
Right.
So 7 artists, single stage at the Velodromo. It just feels significantly scaled back to the fans who remember those older editions. It's definitely a reduced format, maybe to manage local risks, maybe ensure a really tight production. Hard to say for sure.
But even the purists, they have to admit that Armin B2B with Lily Palmer, that's a masterstroke tactically.
Well, absolutely.
It's a genuine fusion. 2 huge names from different corners of electronic music. That alone will drive massive ticket sales.
Unanimously anticipated, yeah. And that's the positive side you hear online. The defenders are celebrating that quality. You see comments like, con Giuseppe Armin ya vale la pena todo, basically. With Giuseppe and Armin, it's already worth it. They argue it's a more intimate, focused vibe, prioritizing quality sets, maybe longer sets, over just having a ton of names.
But the flip side, the critics are just as loud, aren't they?
Equally loud. They're frustrated. Solo 7 artistas para todo un festival. Only 7 artists for a whole festival. And complaints that there's más techno que trance, more techno than trance. They're making these really unfavorable comparisons to the big international ASOT editions, Rotterdam, Miami, where the lineup is just massive.
So connecting this back to the bigger picture, the size limitation really defines this event, doesn't it?
It does. ASOT is delivering some potentially incredible premium B2B sets, legendary names, but in a format that really defies what Mexican fans have come to expect from them historically. It's a huge gamble. They're betting that the perceived artistic value, like the uniqueness of that B2B, is enough to outweigh the smaller scale.
So bringing it all together, Zamna scaling down to a club, ASK scaling down the lineup. What does this actually tell us?
I think it shows the Mexican market is really forcing these huge global brands to make some incredibly tough choices. Choices about scale, about location, about format.
Yeah, that seems right.
It's the key takeaway, really. Even these iconic festivals, they have to figure out where to compromise to survive or at least thrive in this market. Zamna had to weigh the cultural integrity of their Tulum vibe against local risk and cost. ASOT had to weigh the purity of their trance roots against maybe reaching a new, broader audience that likes genre fusion. They're basically betting their core brand identity, the star power they have, is strong enough to handle these major format changes. And that's a big shift from how they operated even just 5 years ago.
They're actively testing the value proposition for the audience. Okay, that leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. When these massive iconic brands expand into new territory or shrink their scale so drastically, where does the value really lie for you? Is the core essence the brand name, maybe a cultural hook like Dia de Muertos, a really high-quality BDB set, is that enough? Or is the traditional size, the expected format, just non-negotiable? Which factor do you think will ultimately define whether Zamna in the Club and ASOT 2025 are seen as successes come November? The intense logistical pressures they face, or the artistic merit of what they actually deliver? Something to definitely think about, maybe while you're frantically trying to get those Zamna pre-sale tickets tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the EMA podcast. Don't forget to follow us for more information and analysis about the world of electronic music. See you soon.
And remember, turn the world into a dance floor.